Hello everyone, Master Xeon1001 here, and in this quick video I figured I would just talk a little bit about hard ops and just getting started with it. So if we go into File and Edit, Preferences, and we go under our preferences, we can see that when we search for hard ops 9, that we have that enabled, and we have all the boxes checked. We saved our preferences and we're ready to begin. Getting started with hard ops is just as easy as pressing the Q button. If you have KitOps installed, then the KitOps button will be enabled. So if we press Q, we can go ahead and choose C#, which will allow us to add a bevel and set this object up for sharpening. Also, it has other uses which we'll be showing in detail. So from here, I'm going to Shift A and add a cube. We'll just move this cube over, and we'll select both these shapes, press Q and use difference from the Q menu. We'll also press Q and choose to adjust the bevel width. Give it about 6 segments and it should start looking better. Now right here we have a situation where we're beveling a bevel. This is because we're using the weight workflow when we should be using angle, or we should be using the weight instead of the angle workflow. So once we go here, we begin adjusting the modifier, shifting this over to weight and C sharpening it. We should be made. However, it looks like there is one line being sharpened. So in order to fix that, let's jump the angle up to 45 using the Control tilde menu, and now we're able to get a nice fillet. So the issue was that if we go into Control tilde menu and we jump this down to 30 and we S sharpen, we can see that it actually ends up catching this edge right here, which breaks the threshold. We'll go here, change this to 45, and we'll S sharp, but instead of just disabling it manually, we'll just turn off additive mode, and that will make it where every time it calculates its sharps, it will remove the sharps and then add another one. So in this video I wanted to just show a quick little trick in this mic test of sorts, and we'll just bring this plane out here, and we're just going to create a more interesting shape. So I'll press Alt Z, we'll press Alt D, Z, Alt D, Z. From here we'll press Alt D with our cursor just in the right position, Alt D, Z. To move this up like so, we'll press Alt D here, Alt D here, and we'll just dissolve that and press Alt D, Z to bring that down. It's easy to have doubles in this sort of workflow. So from here we're just going to press Alt D in order to bring this out, Alt D to bring this up, and now we have this shape with our plane. So I just pressed Alt Z in order to get out of see-through mode, and from here we could just use Q and T thick in order to add some thickness to this. And from here we're just going to press Q and use difference, and whenever we press Control numpad minus under the weight workflow, you can see things looking a little bad. If we go under modifiers, we turn off weighted normal, or even turn on keep sharp for this intermittent step, we can see that this looks a little better, and now you can actually see what's going on with your mesh here. So we're just going to C sharpen that, and we see that some edges were missed. This is where the benefits of working in a edge workflow versus a angle workflow can be seen. However, with this we will need to manually unsharpen those. So as you can see, it's pretty easy to get in here and just create some interesting shapes to get started with. Another one is if we were to go in edit mode and just press C, Z to constrain, click, drag, move, press enter, and from here we're just going to just draw a box around this, just really fill this area in, put a loop cut right here, and because of that now we can quickly select this and just add our circle, except our circle is a little skewed. Let's rotate it just a little bit, looking better. We'll make that sharp so that way whenever we extrude it in and use Alt S to push it and then Alt S to extrude, we're able to get something like this. Now the benefits of also working in weight is that we can select an edge ring, and I have select loops, boundary loop actually mapped to my shift tilde. So when I press shift tilde, I'm able to real quickly go here and just adjust the B weight. So if we look at this, it's kind of hard to tell what's going on with our shape. So let's just jump this over to matcap view. Also could have used Alt V for this. Sometimes I stick with the Blender defaults for reasons that I can explain in order to just understand the way that they intended us to do things. So here we are just in a B width just to get that circle to look good. And continuing on, we can even do this again in another area. So just to show you that trick again, I'm just going to cut and just bring it around this way and reconnect it. And because of this cut, we can just put a loop cut in the middle. And we can also select this and quickly turn this into a circle. And the rotation just seems like it's going to be off today. And let's actually undo that. So we want to sharpen it before we start doing all this pushing. That way we have some sharpness to mess with here. So I'm just going to select that ring, shift tilde like before, and then just lower the B weight. So because we're in a weighted workflow, we're able to give meshes variable weights, which will let us get more or less beveling in certain areas depending on importance. We can even take this edge, just move it down, move this one just to really grab that angle, and let's continue. So right here I'm just going to bring a plane down, B, bevel it, just can't resist using a little bit of Boxcutter. Boxcutter is just such a integral part of my personal workflow. So right here I'm going to go in here and hit 45, and then we're going to C#. And because additive mode is still on, it's adding new sharps that it catches, but it's not going to resharpen this area. And that's an important part of the workflow in HardOps, or at least in the previous destructive version, which is kind of what I'm demonstrating here, is that even though we know that this would get caught by a 30-degree S sharpen, we can actually, raise our angle and use additive mode in order to recalculate, but in this case we want it to stay the same. And these settings are global, so these are going to happen across all operations in which that we're doing this, which is a big part of the unification of our systems that's come about with Blender 2.8. So continuing on here, I'm going to just take a cube, insert it. For some reason I did the gesture of me placing a cursor there, and it didn't even place the cursor because Blender 2.8 just isn't what it used to be. But continuing on, I'm just going to bevel that corner. We're just going to select this object holding shift and use Q and use difference to cut that in. And from here we're just going to use T-thick to assign a little bit of thickness. Let's just move that over here. And we can actually take this, and let's say we want to apply this. Let's press Q, C sharpen. C sharpen has chosen to apply these modifiers and make everything real while also calculating the sharpness and adding a bevel if there isn't one already present. So one way to keep track of what kind of state your mesh is in, which for this example, this is what's called a C# mesh, indicated by the orange logo. But if we bring in a cube, you can see that the logo is nothing because this cube is nothing in relation to our systems. It's a neutral shape. But if we bring this in here and we let's apply the scale, let's cut it in, and we look at the shape now, it's green because it's a bowl shape, right? So because it's a bowl shape, that means that we can go in here, modify it in edit mode, and of course we have a special Q menu just for this particular thing. We even have a clean option here, which is something that I wasn't completely aware of, but now I will be experimenting with for a future video. But we can actually go in here and just real quickly add thickness. We could even go in here and add a bevel modifier if we want to kind of round out what we have going on here. But I do want to press Control tilde to go into the modifier helper and adjust the order in which these modifiers take place, because now whenever I see sharp, I will get a fine result of what I intended. So with that, we can go ahead and just end this video test. But if this does work out and the audio does sound good, do let me know in the comments, and I'll be back with more content. But now it is time for us to begin getting users acquainted with hard ops again. Of course, Boxcutter is still on the table. Boxcutter is topic of thought every day, every hour, every minute. In fact, the moment I pause this video, I'll be back to a meeting talking about Boxcutter. So with that, I'll see you guys next time.